wiser somehow.
Working backwards through life, that's the way to go. Right, so Augusto Farfus leading this race. Safety car still at the front of the field. We're looking for the car in third place. Yeah, of course, Francorchamps motor Ferrari of Alessio Rivera. He's showing that, well, Vincent Abril and Alessandro Pierguidi. Between them is the Schumacher CLRT Porsche, the black one there with car lovers on its nose. And that's Ayhan Şengüven, who made such a fantastic getaway from fifth on the grid, squeezed down by the pit wall, and just somehow popped out into second position by the time they came out of turn one. Other cars running very wide, including Niki Team back there. Right, Rutronic Racing, 9th on the track at the moment. Championship rival, the 48 Winward Racing MAN Filter Mercedes, immediately ahead of them. But unfortunately for both of them, their other championship rival, Charles Weerts, lights out on top of the safety car, is running 5th in that line. Look for the orange, there it is, the orangey red BMW, and he's got some company behind in terms of Adam Smalley's McLaren and Mirko Bortolotti, who just that Lamborghini seems to be coming to life. He had a fantastic opening lap. Sometimes you're a little bit fortunate, you go for it. But right, talk about going for it. Augusto Farfus, of course, he dictates when he floors the throttle, and Ayhan Şengüven can't anticipate that. He has to hope his reaction time is almost as quick. But it's here we go. BMW, Porsche, Ferrari, Aston Martin, and the second of the BMWs. This is the equal championship leading car in 5th place, Charles Weerts. 2 cars between him and the next of the championship challengers. And in behind Bortolotti comes Maro Engel, equal on 54 points at the top of the championship charts. They are, and on 52 points is the car, the Rutronic Porsche, just coming into shot, top right-hand corner. And that is Alessio Picariello. But as he did at the start of the race, Augusto Farfus hooks it up, and he's really eked out a good second of an advantage as he goes out of turn 4 along the drop down to turn 5. It then becomes much steeper, turn 6 dropping down, but that Rover Racing BMW looking untroubled, untrammeled at the start of the race.
Yeah, it was a lovely shot on the restart, looking back from Farfus as we went under the bridge, saying M-Power as the BMW powered away from the Porsche, and that seems to be the strength of the BMW still. So it struggles in these slow speed corners. It's a big car, long wheelbase, so the balance of performance working well. Look at all those different brands inside the top 10. 10 different manufacturers. Is that 8 or 9 represented inside the top 10? So the balance of performance is working very well again this weekend at the Nürburgring.
You know, interesting, look at the top 5, just looking at the sort of car dynamics. Niki Team is throwing that Aston Martin around in 4th place. He would have rued the fact he went so wide on the exit of turn 1 on the opening lap, lost positions, has got them back. He moved ahead of Charles Weerts, and that has been a helping hand to the MAN Filter team and also to the Rutronic Porsche team, because Niki Team sharing with Matteo Drudi, who was super fast at the start of qualifying, and Marco Sorensen, who concluded their session really well placed. Come to you racing, and again pushing so hard. But now Charles Weerts is getting all over the tail of the Aston, so far from finished, I think we could say.
Yeah, and they'll know it's a good car because the Rover version of the BMW is doing well. So Charles Weerts here in the slipstream of Niki Team. Negative is the dirty air, the positive is there punching a hole in the air. He throws it to the inside. Niki Team deciding doesn't need to defend, but it's going in hot there. So Weerts is going to get a tidier exit potentially. Keeps it tighter so we can open up turn 2, roll a bit more speed in, and we can see lunges into this next left. You can sit in the blind spot of the driver in front. Yes, they have very advanced rear view cameras, but the driver really doesn't have enough time to check it on that short run a lot of the time. So it's quite a nice, sneaky undercover move you could do there potentially. So let's keep an eye out for a turn 3 dive bomb.
Right, here's the question. What is Augusto Farfus doing to his tyres? At the start of the race, he absolutely thrashed his way clear. On the restart, he's doing exactly the same again. Of course, he had the advantage by starting at the front of the field, but he's certainly making the very, very most of it. But is he taking the life out of his Pirellis, or is his car simply so well balanced and well set up by Rover Racing that all is smooth, all is good, and he's getting away? Brilliant shot at turn 6. The car's riding out over the curbing there. This is one of the corners where they don't get pinged for exceeding track limits, so they certainly didn't in qualifying. It was turn 1, turn 4, and turn 16 they tended to get pinged for. Also 17, the final corner onto the start-finish straight, was sort of the last of the quartet of corners where the stewards were really looking.
Yeah, to go back to your point about the tyres, as a driver, the Pirelli tyre now is so good. You can just attack it pretty much for a full hour. Now they've had 10 minutes of safety car. That means you definitely are max attack. There's going to be no management of fuel either. That's pretty rare in GT Challenge anyway, but they'll all be safe on fuel now. So we're 23 minutes into the stint. I don't expect anybody to pit before the 50th 52nd minute of the race. The way the regs are, drivers can't do more than 64 minutes unless there's a safety car where it can go to 69, of course. So some teams may utilize that now. That will be the strategy call for some, but the maximum stint time really dictates the strategy for the teams.
1.7 seconds was the gap at the end of the sort of effectively first flying lap after the restart. Augusto Farfus stretching his legs at the front of the field, and a very marginal gain from Ayhancan Guven in second place over the Ferrari of Alessio Rivera. Again, these brilliant drone shots looking down two of the championship challenging cars, the two yellow ones, the Mercedes of Mauro Engel in 8th place, behind him Alessio Picariello in 9th, and they're looking up the track to see where exactly their championship rival, the orange 32 BMW of Team WRT of Charles Weerts, is sitting. Now the pack in behind, we saw the Ziggo Tempesta car. Marco Pulcini had a problem. He's back on the track and he's right in front of a gaggle of cars that were rather wishing he wasn't there. There's the Tempesta car on the outside and actually doing the right job. Stay to the side. You've had your setback. He has to take the corner in certain points. Right in front of the Team WRT. BMW's given him a little tap there on the exit of turn 4. Now one of the Ferraris running over a bit of debris there. Was that Dustin Blattner just having to look? I think it could have been in the Kessel Racing car. Was that debris off the back of Darren Lung's BMW? We had that pulled to the side of the circuit and presumably out of the race. Now, good to see the number 17 car in the race, up into 36th position. That means Lucas Stoltz started from the pit lane and he's gained, I don't know, 20-something positions so far.
Yeah, 24 I make it with my D in GCSE math, and that safety car helped him, of course, because it bunched everyone up, and he'll be licking his lips. Look at this massive 7-car battle going on ahead. They're all slowing each other up. He's obviously got a fast car. Speaking to Jugunon after qualifying, that car is going to have some legacy damage throughout the race, some chassis damage they couldn't repair, and they didn't have a spare chassis, so the car may not be perfect, but those 3 drivers are going to try and make up.
3 hours of racing, remember, and all the time that these slower cars were in front of Lucas Stoltz, he'd be losing ground, but he didn't have to be cautious, pick them off one by one. Unfortunately for him, that orange and white Ziggo Tempesta sport car, well, that's moved out of the way. That's very good, because that is a lap down anyhow, so doesn't want that one blocking him. Certainly hasn't. So Stoltz on the tail of one of the CSA Racing McLarens. It's car number 112, I believe, right across his nose, but he's picking them off. Do be patient, though. That's absolutely required.
So just to confirm, this stint will now be 69 minutes if the teams want it to be, because there has been a full course yellow or safety car, or in this instance both. It extends by 5 minutes. So I do expect the majority of teams to take that and go as long as they can and try and make that last stint as short as possible. All the cars have to be connected to the refueling rigs for 44 seconds, but the fuel doesn't need to be flowing. So if you can eke out these stints and give your last driver less fuel, they will be quicker. So as an average, they will be able to push for longer and for harder. So expect that to be a strategy for the front runners. If you need to go left field, if you're maybe this 17 Get Speed car that's trying to get past the bronze class car of Dustin Blattner, maybe you go short and try and go for a long last stint, hoping for a safety car in the last hour.
Been a change in the bronze class, looking at the UNX Porsche that's just taken the lead. That's Mattia De Tree. He's just got ahead of the Kessel Racing Ferrari. We saw the Kessel car hitting a little bit of debris, so maybe it's slightly unsettled it there, but it was a bunching of traffic. But De Tree, look, it's not the De Tree twins with Fabien Duffier. Look at the graphic, there are 2 of them there. It's because Mattia De Tree, who's leading the class, that number 888 Porsche, who's doing stint 1. Not stint 2, he's having time off at a biscuit, then he's back for stint number 3. So he's going to be a busy boy, but as you said, you did 2 double stints here, 2 different cars a while ago, Joe.
Yeah, and actually just got a message from Ahmed Al-Hati, one of my teammates that day, and yeah, we had good fun. First time I sat in the car, was leaving pit lane, couldn't find the pit lane speed limiter because they'd moved it to the standard position, so that was rather embarrassing. Let's move on to this battle that's raging just outside the top 30, but a very intense silver battle here. We're used to seeing Audis at the front of the grid. This is the first season we don't have an Audi in the Pro class, but we get a good illustration here from the Race Vision powered by AWS of overall top speed. And the Ferrari, Dustin Blattner, yes, he may be a bronze driver in a bronze class car, but 248 Ks on this pit straight here as they break for turn number 1, but all 5 cars there within 1 kilometre of an hour.
All 5 cars from 5 different manufacturers. Half of the manufacturers on this grid got cars absolutely representative of place. You want to be really quick, it's down the start finish straight, and certainly a lot of pressure being put on Dustin Blattner there, but we know his Ferrari is quick. Into the first corner he goes. The car he's chasing in class now, having led it early on, is UNX Racing Porsche just up ahead, treble 8. Now, This is 6th place, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. It's Smalley, Bortolotti, Engel, Picariello. So it's McLaren, it's Lamborghini, it's Mercedes and Porsche, with Arjun Maini tucked in behind. Car 63, the Lamborghini, Mirko Bortolotti. I really sense that he had a really good charge when the traffic was tight. On this restart, he hasn't quite got the measure of Adam Smalley. So Smalley holding on to his particular class lead in the gold standard class. Now let's take a look at the top speed of the Schumacher S, and it's Nicky Thiem, who was so super positive, 3 kilometres an hour faster than the next best driver through there, which is Ayhan Şengüven in the 2nd place Porsche. So I did think a few laps ago Nicky Thiem was looking mighty through that, and the attitude of his car, I said at the time, he seems to be really throwing the car around, and that is proof of the pudding. That is a big margin in that uphill S. And there comes the Aston Martin green with that big yellow flash up its middle, 4th overall. Now let's have a little look at the change, the overtake with the gold Porsche taking the lead in the bronze class, going up the inside of the blue and white Kessel Racing Ferrari. There's Mattia De Tree closer to camera, sweeps through turn 6, down the hill he goes. So that was brave, that was in among quite a lot of traffic, and you know, very, very impressive. And there is Nicky Thiem, 4th in the race, but as we just saw with that AWS graphic, fastest in the uphill Schumacher S by some margin, by 3 kilometres per hour.
Yeah, I think that might have been the other ComTU car, the 21 car, just with a mirror hanging off. We've seen that before, and the race officials are happy to let that slide, so don't expect anything there. You could just change the door in the pit stop in time and not lose anything, but most of the teams decide not to and just let it go.
Lucas Stoltz, tiny little bit of bodywork damage on the right rear of his car. Was it left? I can't remember now. But he's still trying to pick his way up the order. He's up to 32nd. And that is a good gain, bearing in mind that car started from pit exit. So he's gained close on 30 positions. But clearly that bodywork rub, it hasn't come without cost. Yeah, left rear corner of the car. Doesn't look as though it's anything performance hampering now. Competitive overtakes. Who wins? Well, it would be Lucas Stoltz. Oh, 21. As in, he's come from the back. And these are not inherited. These are ones where he has passed the car out on the track. So Mercedes second in that, with Maxi Götz having gone very well in the Boutsen VDS car. He's running in 18th position. Particularly, of course, if you start a little further down and expected, it'll be easier to do the overtakes. And for Augusto Farfus, no overtakes whatsoever, but that's because he started on pole position and he's leading this race by 2.3 seconds. But Lucas Stoltz, just seeing him there, is Augusto Farfus. Does actually look as though Ayhan Şengüven starting to pick up his pace. And in fact, as they all pile down through the second of the 3 timing sectors, the cars in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th have all just set their best sector time at that point of the circuit.
Yeah, and a 10th quicker than that Rover car there. So you can see the lap time adjustment. So compared to all the other pro cars of the field, he's over a second a lap quicker. So you group this massive group of 17 pro cars. That's how much quicker that car is. And that is a real strong indication with that race vision powered by AWS of how quick that car is and why he's leading, and probably why he was on pole position too.
Yeah, certainly seems to be that way. So Jesse Krohn and Raffaele Marcello will be looking on. I did sense Ayhan Şengüven was picking up the pace. He's just taken 0.4 of a second back. And talk about taking places back, just in the background of the shot, there could be a Ford clouting the Rutronic Porsche down into turn 1. There was a massive dive there from Arjun Maini. We need to see if it made it work. He did, but going wide out of turn 2. We're going to see Picariello trying to find his way back. He'll be on the correct line into turn 3, but there could be contact. The Porsche's having to be right over the curves, but well, Maini's kept the move done into turn 4. He'll go in ahead. Will he come out ahead? I think he will. Wait for the Ford grunt to come in. That V8 rumble will power away. So that is bad news for Rutronic Racing, the car that came here 2 points down on the championship lead. But this is what we want. We want racing, don't we?
Great on board. You see Picariello slapping the steering wheel in frustration there. He felt like he got caught napping. I think he was surprisingly fair as the Ford was on his outside at turn 3. I was expecting him to ease him out of the road and push him onto the dirty side of the track. But look, the pace, the Ford is going. It's a huge car and it looks smaller. Yes, it's closer now as we concertina up, but this move was only done 3 corners ago. Have we unleashed a beast here in Arjun Maini? Is he going to be able to keep this pace going? And he's dropping Picariello. Can he go after Engel in front in the Mercedes? This car looks seriously quick right now.
Well, you know, through the course of a season, you start to think you're understanding form, but the Ford, bear in mind, it's only its sort of second series season as a GT3 car. It sounds fantastic, and they did a bit of development, but this is the development season. The Hout Racing team based just across the road in Moispath. This enormous development just across the track from the Nürburgring and they're getting better and better. They run a little bit in some of the local races here as well, but for Hubert Haupt and the gang, they'll be very, very pleased indeed with the progress that their version of the Blue Oval is achieving. And for Rutronic Racing, we heard from the boss, Klaus Graf, down on the grid. What he didn't want was other people interloping into the championship battle. The Ford isn't in the championship battle, but it's got between him and Maro Engel's bright yellow number 48 Mercedes as they run down to turn 1, and the gap between Engel and championship rival Alessio Picariello was just about a second. Now it's about 2 seconds, and there's the Ford between them. So Picariello must be thinking, okay, you've got past me, Arjun Bayani. Could you actually now go and help me out by taking on Maro Engel up in front of me?
Yeah, and that's exactly what's needed to happen as we look at the Silver Cup leader again. James Baldwin leading ahead of the second place Gold Cup car. So Smalley will be happy that Baldwin is there. The first Garage 59 car going through the shot. Smalley, the second one, he's effectively holding up Adam Smalley's competitor there in Vermeulen, and then Al Zubair as well in the BMW from Al Manar Racing, run by WRT. But of course, this Verstappen.com car very, very strong in the championship, and depending on how results go today, could even wrap that championship up.
Yeah, we won't talk too much about points just now, but certainly in the Gold Cup class, they came here with a 25-point margin, so it's very much on the cusp. But let's see how the race runs. Of course, for Moylan and one of his teammates, Chris Lunnon, they also race a Ferrari for ML5 Racing in the Sprint Series as well, so very, very much involved in all 3 championships: GT World Challenge Europe, GT World Challenge Sprint, and GT Challenge Endurance, which is what we're looking at now. 3-hour race rather than the 2 1-hour sprints. That's the difference between endurance. But of course, the endurance series also includes some longer races too, most notably the Spa 24 hours. Yeah, and the Spa 24 hours is actually part of the Intercontinental GT Championship as well. And in 2 weeks' time, we go to Suzuka for 1,000 kilometres. And who's leading the championship in that? Augustus Farfus. So he is in a good bit of form right now, isn't he? This season has been strong. Like we said earlier, Nürburgring 24-hour winner, looking strong here at the moment. And second in that championship is Kelvin van der Linde in the 32 BMW. So there are so many races in the GT world. I appreciate that, but they're all meaning something, and that's the job SRO do now across the globe. Is there is a GT3 race at least every weekend, sometimes 2 a weekend. Yeah, GT World Challenge race. I had a fantastic couple of races at Okayama in Western Japan this weekend, and certainly the Japanese fans adore GT racing, so I'm sure you have a cracking crowd at Suzuka in a couple of weeks' time. Absolutely brilliant circuit. You never raced there, did you? No, I've been there for a few corporate events, but it is one of those bucket list experiences, and old school circuit, so to take modern GT3 cars there, and we've got a 33 car entry list already confirmed for that. It will be a very strong race weekend to watch. Most certainly. A bit warmer than here at the Nürburgring, I would warrant, when you go there. Right, Thierry Vermeulen pressing on. He's running in 12th place overall. He's second in the Gold Cup class. Adam Smalley doing a fantastic job for Garage 59 to be up the road in 6th. There's another McLaren just in front of him, another car from Garage 59, which is James Baldwin, number 188 in 11th place overall. He's leading the Silver Cup class, as Joe just explained a moment ago. Let's look to the front of the race, though. Ayhancan Guven seemed to be attacking, slightly closing on Augusto Farfus, but as much he gained in one lap, he lost on the other, so their margin is still 1.7, 1.8 seconds. Still looking to see what Lucas Stoltz is managing. He's gained another position. He's gone past Leonardo Moncini up to 30th place in the number 17 Mercedes that started stone last. But look at the groups of cars ahead of him. These are the ones just around 20th position. Literally nose to tail. They're going to be very, very hard indeed to find a way past. In fact, the biggest gap is when you go down to the Aston Martin. Just everyone else is just a couple of tenths of a second apart. But then you get a slight gap back to Nicolas Baer. Yeah, just watching Stoltz's progress, it has been very hot knife through butter, hasn't it? And he still hasn't really got to the point where he's stopping the amount of overtakes. Next place will be 28th overall, and the Get Speed car as we go to a battle. Someone's gone straight through the chicane there. It's Ford, Porsche versus Lambo, and it's hard to run side by side. Now, I'd suggest the Ford has gone through the gravel at some point and has managed to then get back in front, or was at the battle as they were going, and multi-class racing in evidence there. Yeah, David Schumacher, nephew of the great multiple world champion, and pressing on very, very nicely indeed. Lucas Stoltz trying to get past Adam Christodoulou in the Nordic Racing. That's the black Mercedes in front of him, but Adam knows this circuit supremely well, so that's going to be probably the hardest nut he's had to try and crack on the way up. On this lap, he just went past the blue Team WRT BMW of Gilles Staatsbader, but now, well, where's the door going to be left open? Adam's not going to leave it open. He's going to hang on as long as he can, so this could be the first point at which the progress is slowed. Still a bit of debris on the track as the drivers sort of kink very slightly to the right as they come out of turn 4. And still Adam Christodoulou cutting across the nose of Lucas Stoltz's car. If you joined us some way into the race, you might be asking why the number 17 Mercedes is down here in the middle of this 60-car field. And that's because it got taken out in qualifying. They had to rebuild it as best they could. And the move has been made. In fact, Christodoulou kept out of the way there, decided to let Stoltz through. But this car was rebuilt, had to start from the pit lane. They probably haven't done everything on their job list, but they've got the 4 wheels pointing in a straight line. And that's why a car that would have otherwise been definitely one for the top 10 is making up ground. Yeah,
Christodoulou paid by Mercedes, so he wasn't going to hold up a Mercedes factory car effectively. And yeah, that 17 car has got a crack hole in the chassis as well. So that car did not start the race how it would have wanted. So it makes it even more impressive for Lucas Stoltz. You see Charles Wirtz has really dropped off the back there, hasn't he, of Nicky Team? So Smalley has too. Engels still close to the back of the Lamborghini of Bortoletti, and Arjumani is closing that gap. And yeah, everyone's starting to string out ever so slightly. Benji Girth in the third Garage 59 car has had a very strong start to the race. After a disappointing qualifying, he said he owned it. It wasn't his best performance after such a strong few races, winning in GT World Challenge Sprint twice now.
Did we talk about the fact that the Stella Motorsport Chevrolet is in the garage, the Corvette? The bonnet's off, they're working away on that, so we haven't had a chance to see. But hey, we've got a lot of cars to look at out there, and what we are seeing is a little bit of ebb and flow at the front field. This is the battle for honours in the bronze class. The Porsche sitting there. That's car number 74 giving chase. Let's hear its radio message.
Stay with the Porsche, nothing crazy, pace is mega.
Okay, so that's the view of Dustin Blattner. Not too impressed with Mathieu Detry, he said. Really crazy, if you didn't quite catch that. So he's just going to keep a watching eye. I did notice as the cars went out of turn 1, there was something sitting, looked like a bit like a fire extinguisher. It's probably just a bollard lying by the side of the track on the exit. I'm sure that will be cleared up as soon as possible. It just caught my eye. I don't know if you saw it there, Joe.
Oh, I missed it. I'll keep an eye on it. Just looking at the lap times, actually, Farfus's best lap, 4/10 quicker than anybody else. So he's the only man in the 56s. He's done a 56.7 as well. And if you're interested in keeping an eye on more than just the pictures, SRO, the GT World Challenge app, is available to download completely for free on Android and on iOS. You're able to see all the live timing, follow cars, and it adds to the whole experience, doesn't it? And that's how we, Bruce, are able to sound so insightful with all the data we're given.
What do you mean? I'm always looking at the wrong screen at the wrong moment, but there you go. The more you have, the more you can fumble, but the more you have, if you're not trying to commentate at the same time, you can just weave another story, find a mix. Now, what's happened in recent laps? Suddenly, look, Arjumani's decided he's not satisfied with 7th place, so he's going to make a move. Mirko Bortolotti has made a tidy move as well. Adam Smalley is the one that's made them, promoted him up the order there. He'd been running really, really strongly and has just let a couple of other cars come through. He'd been running in 6th. He's gone behind Bortolotti, he's gone behind Mauro Engel. And that will be frustrating for Alessio Picariello because he lost a place to Arjumani. So instead of sitting on Engel's tail, he's got 2 cars between him. He's got Smalley and Maini now.
What's happened to Smalley? He lost 3 seconds on the last lap. Mistake,
yeah.
Problem. Looks okay at the moment in front of us, doesn't it? But his lap time was a 2:03, which you can view on the app, of course. But looks okay, so I'd imagine he's dropped it somewhere. I missed which sector the problem was in, but he now needs to regroup. He wasn't the cork in the bottle, it was the cling film on top of a microwavable dish. He wasn't holding them up massively, but he definitely wasn't the quickest in the pack. He now needs to regroup because look, his gold class lead, only 2 cars behind.
Yeah, Lucas Stoltz still trying to pick off any car he finds in front of him. It's the number 21, Aston Martin is the next target, and that will be Nicolas Baer. And then there's a little bit of a gap, and then he's got to go off after the Rolf in Eichen Porsche just up the track, down the inside. There isn't an inside, so there's no way that he can make a move down into turn 8, into the hairpin. But he's hunting Adam Christodoulou, who let him through in that black Nordic Racing Mercedes tucking. He's going to go with him as they go up the order. But clearly the message came from on high in the world of the three-pointed star. Could you let Mr. Stoltz through? You okay?
It's always a scary radio message when I was at McLaren as a factory driver. You would get a new voice, but you recognise it and you couldn't work out why. It was one of the big bosses, and depending on what they were saying would be, depending on how well the radio message was, it would be, sorry, radio poor, repeat, and you try and survive. But both this Aston Martin that Stoltz is trying to get past and Stoltz himself, bodywork damage, that shows you the argy-bargy these cars are having to get through the field. Easy to forget, all the bodywork, carbon fibre, the average price of these cars, 500,000 euros these days, but these drivers treat them like an asset, like a tool out there to try and get to the front of the field.
Absolutely true. Now, Lucas Stoltz is actually jinking around to make sure that Nicolas Baer has seen that he's there. He would have seen him closing, but just wants to make sure he doesn't do anything rash. Right, battle for second place in Pro-Am. Ayhan Şengüven, he's showing with the Schumacher CLRT Porsche and running it very, very nicely in turn. He'll have Lauren Heinrich and Klaus Bachler come to complete the race. But at the moment, it's very, very even, the pace that he has and the chasing Alessio Rivera Ferrari. There it is, third overall, number 51 AF Corsa, but still that margin going out all the time. 3.2 seconds clear, 3.5 seconds clear now. Every timing sector, Augusto Farfus in the Rover Racing BMW is stretching clear. And Augusto won't mind me telling it, people, he's not the youngest driver in the race, but he's still absolutely on it. He's been racing in Europe, came up from Brazil a very, very long time ago, just quickly flicking through. He actually came up to race in Europe in the year 2000. There you go, and he's still absolutely on top of his class. No wonder BMW have had him under their wing for decades, it seems.
Yeah, racing since the millennium. That does feel like a long time ago. He's obviously got the racing bug in Europe. That's the main thing. And just watching Rivera, I thought he was going to be stronger over the back of Guven. And just looking at averages, so I can see the 5 fastest laps for each car. And it is Ayhan Guven in second, which is maybe not unsurprising, but I thought Rivera was going to be able to top it. Just watching Lucas Stoltz, if you took his fastest 5 laps, he'd be inside the top 10. That shows you the pace of that there. So they're able to hopefully keep working. And do you know what? I think they could potentially get points by the end of the weekend. And you're right, it is just a bollard on the left of the screen there. Where it's come from, I assume the apex of turn 1, but it's found a new home on the exit.
Right, riding on board with Alessio Rivera in number 51 AF Corsa Ferrari, looking at the second place Schumacher CLRT Porsche driven by Ayhan Şengüven. But if you look backwards, Nicky Team is coming, getting closer and closer. He's within a second of the tail of that Ferrari. And again, we saw time and time again, Nicky goes so deep into turn 1, and then he has to sort of sort it out on the exit. But the pace is there. He gained 0.4 of a second. There he is. Come-Chi Racing 007 or 7 on our timing screens, and it's a 3-car battle now for second place. And that might actually help Charles Weerts in 5th. He's another 2 and a bit seconds back in 5th place overall. But maybe if they start to really tussle in front of him, then he will have a chance. He's equal in the lead of the championship. If the race finished now, the championship lead when they head to the final round would be in his pocket, but it isn't yet over. We've got 2.25 hours still to go. The first round of pit stops will be coming up in about 10 minutes, one would think. Who's going to blink first?
Yeah, and they're ready, the drivers, the second stint drivers, because the pit window can be open. So if there was a full course yellow or a safety car, they could effectively get a cheap pit stop, and that's why the teams will make them be ready. So I think the strategy is to go long as it stays green, but the teams have to be ready to react. And it's not a quick reaction. The tyres are in the oven out the back of the garages. They have to be brought through. All your crew have to be dressed in the appropriate gear. The fuelers, full-face helmets, full fireproof suits. Everyone already on a moment's notice. And the engineers will tell the drivers in the car. And there's the warm-up procedure going on for Rutronic. Very fast, quick pit stops in the sprint series, but here in the minimum pit stop time, it's more about procedure than out-and-out pace.
Absolutely so, very well explained there. Maro Engel has just set his fastest lap of the race. He's running down in 7th place, came here with a 1-point championship lead. Importantly for him, one of the cars challenging him, that one, the Rutronic Porsche, is 3 positions further back. Started the race just 1 position down. So frustration, as we saw from Alessio Picariello when he got past and doesn't want to let anyone else through. He's got very, very strong driver lineup. All the pro crews do. Half the Pro-Am crews will, of course. We've got the gold class, the silver class, and the bronze class as well. But the calibre of the drivers and the amount of GT3 racing they do around the world is phenomenal. But no wonder we thought Nicky Team was getting closer. Lap 20, he gained quarter of a second. Even more than that on lap 21. Then 3/10 of a second as he caught up with Alessio Rivera's Ferrari in the battle for second, third, and fourth. So good sequence of laps from the Flying Dane.
Yeah, and Picarelli now probably getting close enough to think about a move as we jump on board with him. The McLaren edging away in the straight line. The Porsche historically very strong on traction, of course. The flat six engine slung in the rear bumper, so when you get on the throttle, the rear squats down and gives those rear tyres some nice performance. There you can see the pace. It has ebbed and flowed, but now the last 2 laps, 4/10 gains on each of those laps on Smalley. So this could be a battle as we get towards the end of this stint. The race has flown by. Smalley missing that apex by a mile. That's a 10th or 2 lost forever. He'll be looking in his mirrors, starting to maybe panic. Gets that apex nicely though. Hopefully he can stop the rot. It was a strong start, but he lost a couple of places, didn't he, on that lap where he lost 3 seconds, and he won't want to lose any more. Yeah,
well, he knows he's made one mistake, does not want to make another. Up to the chicane they go. This is the uphill chicane. 14, 15, 16. A lot of drivers been running wide. The curb had to be repaired there. Cobble damage yesterday that led to a delay. In fact, it shortened our pre-qualifying session quite comprehensively. So a lot of the drivers lost some of the running they wanted, but for the real pros, they've been there and done it before, and they have that muscle memory accordingly. But Smalley holds on. 9th place for him.
Yeah.
Leading his class very nicely indeed. However, yeah, certainly the Porsche, the Rutronic Porsche of Alessio Picariello, if it could get past one's senses, it would be quicker, but he's not managing to get past them. The first round of pit stops are coming up really very soon indeed. Now, I'll tell you what, who hit the cone? Hands up, you at the back of the class. Let's have a look. Okay, 2 cars, bit of physics, bit of car. Oh, off the apex it went. Brilliant bit of camera work, and well done to the crew in the truck for managing to get that for us. Now that mystery is solved, but we've got far more mysteries coming through before now at the end of the race when we get to 3 hours of racing action.
Yeah, lucky there, just a plastic bollard with a elastic tether, not more seriously loaded up there. As we look at battle in the bronze class here, Charles Dawson, British GT Championship leader at the moment, trying to get past the 52 of Louis Michaels, and he's having to defend from the dynamic Porsche as well. So battle further down the field, but no less fierce, of course. And looks like Dawson's got the pace over the Ferrari. Where can he get that triple 2Cs Mercedes car past the Ferrari?
Right, car in the pits, driver getting out. That is Lucas Stoltz getting out. So early pit stop, or is it retirement? They're cleaning the screen.
Yeah, this is the left field strategy I thought they would do. They're rolling the dice. So what they need in about an hour and 9 minutes time is a safety car where they can benefit, but no one else can, because they're going for the obvious strategy. You go long. Saying that, Nicky Team boxes as well. They're not happy with a 4th place finish. They're going slightly more left field strategy as well. The car's got enough fuel to keep going, so this is strategic. They won't be light on fuel just yet. And actually, interesting, that shows you that's probably a mistake from Get Speed. They've now lost a lap, and they